I don't think it'll be 1 minute. The texts that are before you are all interesting. And the first reading from Deuteronomy is interesting because so many times we hear our parents say to us, and those of us who think about our parents and remember them, they have said things like, haven't I already told you this once? Didn't you hear me the first time? And today, I don't know that parents say that to children anymore, but I'm sure that we as grandparents think it. I think it sometimes. I thought that kid was smarter than that. I'm not talking about anybody else's grandkids. I'm just talking about mine. And I sometimes say, that kid's got to be smarter than that. There's no way that I could have an offspring of one of my offsprings that is that dumb. Now that's just my thinking. It's not casting no dispersions on anybody else's, but those are mine. And I keep praying for them every day that they realize that they're smarter than they think. But when I read this first text, I wondered about it because in that text, you hear God repeating over and over again the things that he has already done for the people of Israel. And he's reminding them, this is what I've already done for you. Didn't you get it the first time? But we are the offsprings of that. And for some strange reason, we didn't get it the first time because we inherited that gene that allows us not to remember what God has done for us. Okay? That went over like a lead balloon, didn't it? Okay. Every now and then, God has to remind his people of the things that he has done. In that first text, he reminds them that, well, you went down to Egypt. And it's interesting, there were only 70 people who went down to Egypt. Okay? There's discussion and debate about whether they were there for 400 years or they were there for 350 years or whether they were there for about 275 years. Different people think different things about that. But while they were there, they grew in number and they became bigger than the population of the Egyptians that they were serving. That's interesting because the Pharaoh said, this is kind of strange. The people who work for us are greater in number than we are. And if our enemies come to do war against us, they might join with them and overtake us. That's what the Pharaoh says. So, you know the rest of that story. They stopped giving them straw to make bricks, and they increased the labor and all that kind of stuff. God tells them, I'm the one who heard your prayers. I'm the one who delivered you from that. I'm the one who saw you out of there. I'm the one who gave you this new land flowing with milk and honey. Don't you remember that? And the Israelites probably said to them what our kids say to us. But what have you done for us lately? Yeah. Okay. Well, that's the first reading. God has to remind us of the things that he has done. I don't want to get to the second one yet, but I want to go to the gospel. And the reason I want to go to the gospel is because Jesus is trying to tell them, and they're remembering what happened. They remember that their ancestors ate bread from heaven. And they're thinking that Moses provided the bread. You remember how they'd wake up in the morning and there would be manna all over the place, and they would gather enough for how many days? 1 day. except on the Sabbath, the day for the Sabbath. Then they were to gather enough for 3 days, 4 days, 1 day, 2 days. Okay, 2 days. And the reason they were together for 2 days was because they were not supposed to do any work on the Sabbath. Okay, we've changed all of that. We have improved on what God has already done. We work on Sunday. Sunday is our day of Sabbath. For the Jews or the Israelites, it was Friday through Saturday. Okay? The first day of the week for the Jews is Sunday. The first day of the week for us is, you said Tuesday? Everybody's so quiet, Beverly. I guess we may as well say amen and go home. No, we won't do that. Okay. The Israelites that were with Jesus said that they got manna from heaven, and they thought that Moses provided it. Moses was just like them. If he hadn't gotten any, he would have starved to death. It's not written in the book, but it's in my book. It's in Willard's book, okay? Now, what happens here is that Jesus tells them, you thought Moses did it. Moses didn't provide the bread for you. My Father provided the bread for you. And he still provides the bread for you. And they're looking at him and scratching their heads, trying to figure out, who is he talking about? And he answers their question. They didn't ask it, but he answers it. He said, who is the bread of life? Oh, come on, wake up. He's the bread of life. That's what he is. And those who eat the bread that he is provided to be would never be hungry again. And those who believed in him never be thirsty. Now, if somebody came to you and made you an offer like that, what would you tell them? You tell them the same thing that the woman at the well told him. She came for water, right? Jesus saw her there, and when Jesus met her there, Jesus said, could you give me some water? She said, why would you even ask me that question? Men don't talk to women in public. You're a Jew and I'm a Samaritan. You all don't talk to us. You worship on that mountain and we worship on this mountain. Which mountain is it? And she goes through this whole litany of things. And Jesus said, sister, I only asked you for some water. That's from the book of Willard. And he said, if you had asked me for water, I would have given you living water. You'd never be thirsty again. And she said, what? What did she say? Give me the water. Every day she made her way to the well to get the water. And here's a guy who's offering her water that she will never be thirsty on again. So what do we ask? Give me that water. Okay? The Jews who were here with Jesus, he says, those who eat the bread, who are aware of me, they will not be hungry anymore, and those who believe in me will not be thirsty anymore. What was their answer? Give it to us. Okay? So, that's not what he did. All the work that he did was already done. Now let's go back to the Philippians text. I like that text. It's something about the book of Philippians that I just like anyway, but this text is good. Rejoice in the Lord always, and again I say rejoice. How can you rejoice when you're not happy? You can't. Well, let me just ask this. I'm full of questions tonight, and you got to give me some answers. Okay. Do you remember the story about the woman who had the issue of blood for 12 years? And she got into the crowd. Now, if a woman had an issue of blood or any type of disease, she was not allowed to be in public, period. She comes out, and she gets in the crowd, and it says she touched what part of his robe or his garment? The hem. Where's the hem? At the bottom. So she must have been stumbling, trying to get through the crowd, and she was low enough to just touch the hem of his garment. Now she's made well. Jesus knows that somebody's touched him. So what does he do? Thank you. Thank all of you who answered the question. This is the section that answers right here. This was the earliest section who was answering. Okay. She touched him and she said, I'm the one who touched you. Okay. Now, if she was singing a song that we sing, or we sing, do you think she might have said, the song that I can remember right offhand is, He Touched Me. You ever heard that? He touched me, oh, he touched me, and oh, what joy filled my soul. Okay, do you think she sang it happily? Or do you think she's saying, he touched me, oh, he touched me? I think this text tells us that when you rejoice, you must be happy about something. Now, what are they supposed to be happy about? Paul says, let your gentleness be known to everyone, not just the people you like, but to everyone. Okay? The Lord is near. And then he says something that I don't think half the people who heard him say this really heard it. Do not worry about anything. Because there are some people who just need to worry so that the world will be balanced. If everybody's happy, then that's no good. We just got to have somebody that's not happy. And they're the ones who he's telling. Do not worry about anything. But in everything by two things, what are they? Prayer and prayer. Supplication is prayer, right? If I'm praying for me, that's one thing. But if I'm praying for you, that's supplication. I'm praying so that God will do something for you. So he's saying by prayer and supplication. And he says with a reason. With thanksgiving. So how do you start your prayer? That's the first thing we do. Okay, I start my prayer. Lord, I've had a miserable day. If you don't come down here and slap some of these people who got in my way, there's going to be a problem. Okay. Isn't that about the way we pray? Or, there's nobody in here. I know you don't do this. But when people go and buy their lottery tickets, the first thing they say is, Lord, let me have the right numbers so I can win the lottery. Why would you play if you didn't want to win? Okay, well, you don't have to answer that question, okay? But then after he tells them this, to pray with thanksgiving, and he gives them guidelines to live by, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is pleasing, whatever is commendable. These are the things that we're supposed to hold on to. Not that other stuff that makes us feel like, well, so-and-so is better than me, so I won't hang out with them. Or I don't like the way somebody said something to me. Those are not the things that he's telling us to do. Focus on the positives that are here. That's how we make it through this world. I've said it before, and I'll say it once more. Mrs. Ann Williams has said, we are here to help each other get through this life. We are here to help each other get through this life. Final question. When you're feeling like you don't matter, things aren't going your way, nothing is right in the world today for you, what do you do? What? Pray. Pray for someone else. Pray for yourself. If I am only focusing, and this has nothing to do with you, but if I'm only focusing on the things that make me upset, I'm going to stay upset. But if I take the focus off of me and I start praying for someone else, there is no reason for God not to hear the prayer and answer for them. But while he's answering for them, he's also going to do something for who else? For me. You got a pointing finger? Hold your pointing finger up. If God is helping someone else because you ask him to help someone else, he's also going to help who? Point the finger at you, yourself, me. He's going to help you. That's the essence of what Paul is talking about here. Now, I know that may not have sounded like a good Thanksgiving sermon to you, but it's what I have for the evening. And if you want to read it, it won't sound like from this paper what I've said to you. But this time of year, when we start talking about Thanksgiving, and we think of all of the other people in the world, the homeless, the children who are living on the streets, the people who are suffering from different kinds of diseases, and we start thinking about and praying for them, that's when God does something for us, for me. Okay? Hymn number 693. They say that Lutherans sing better when they stand up.